Scientists at Princeton University just discovered something that destroys everything we've been taught about human evolution.
We will show you how the technology is being used to deliver enormous advances.
Tool was generated from scratch using AI and not found in nature.
Using AI with machine learning to decode ancient DNA from 2,000 living humans and extinct human species, they found multiple waves of interbreeding that occurred hundreds of thousands of years ago, proving that modern humans didn't evolve the way textbooks claim. Instead, we were constantly migrating, encountering, and mixing with other human species, far more than anyone ever recognized. But what made researchers go silent wasn't just discovering that these extinct species never truly disappeared. They were absorbed, their DNA living inside us. The AI found divergent sections in our genome that don't match any known human species. Proof of a ghost population we interbred with. An extinct human species hiding in our DNA that we've never discovered. And the terrifying part is we don't know how many more are buried in our genes, or what percentage of what makes us human actually came from species we can't identify. If you care about what AI just revealed about human origins, and why the key insight was to look for modern human DNA in the genomes of Neanderthals, instead of the other way around, completely reversing how scientists have studied human evolution for decades. Share this everywhere. Because what this discovery proves is that human history isn't a simple story of one species replacing another. It's a tangled web of constant migration, interbreeding, and genetic exchange that challenges everything textbooks have taught us about where we came from. Before we break down exactly what AI found hidden in our DNA, why up to 40% of Neanderthal DNA may have survived inside modern human genomes, how scientists identified a ghost species descended from Neanderthal Denisovin admixture, and what it means that a 2025 study retrieved mitochondrial DNA from the Harbin cranium, proving it's Denisovin. Subscribe to this channel for the discoveries that rewrite human history. First, you need to understand that until AI decoded our DNA, the story of human evolution was incomplete and wrong in fundamental ways. Ever since the first Neanderthal bones were discovered in 1856, people have wondered about these ancient hominins. How are they different from us? How much are they like us? Did our ancestors get along with them? Fight them? Love them? The recent discovery of a group called Denisovans, a Neanderthal-like group who populated Asia and South Asia, added its own set of questions. Denisovans are close relatives of both modern humans and Neanderthals, and likely diverged from these lineages around 300,000 to 400,000 years ago. The first remains of Denisovans found were a single fragment of a finger bone and 2 teeth, all of which date back to about 40,000 years ago. This species is the first fossil hominin identified as a new species based on its DNA alone. But here's what nobody understood until AI analyzed the data: how often and how extensively these species interbred. An international team of geneticists and AI experts, led by Joshua Akey, a professor in Princeton's Louis Sigler Institute for Integrative Genomics, found a history of genetic intermingling and exchange that suggests a much more intimate connection between these early human groups than previously believed. Using genomes from 2,000 living humans, as well as 3 Neanderthals and 1 Denisovan, Akey and his team mapped the gene flow between the hominin groups over the past 250,000 years. The breakthrough came from the AI tool itself. The researchers used a genetic tool they designed called IBD Mix, which uses machine learning techniques to decode the genome. Here's why this matters. Previous researchers depended on comparing human genomes against a reference population of modern humans believed to have little or no Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA. But Akey's team has established that even those referenced groups, who live thousands of miles south of the Neanderthal caves, have trace amounts of Neanderthal DNA, probably carried south by voyagers or their descendants. In other words, the baseline itself was contaminated. Every previous study was comparing tainted samples against tainted samples. With IBD Mix, Akey's team identified a first wave of contact about 200 to 250,000 years ago, another wave 100 to 120,000 years ago, and the largest one about 50 to 60,000 years ago. This contrasts sharply with previous genetic data suggesting that modern humans evolved in Africa 250,000 years ago, stayed put for the next 200,000 years, and then decided to disperse out of Africa. Our models show that there wasn't a long period of stasis, but that shortly after modern humans arose, we've been migrating out of Africa and coming back to Africa too, Aki said. To me, this story is about dispersal, that modern humans have been moving around and encountering Neanderthals and Denisovans much more than we previously recognized. That vision of humanity on the move coincides with the archaeological and paleoanthropological research, suggesting cultural and tool exchange between the hominin groups. But the most revolutionary aspect of this research is what they looked for. Lee and Aki's key insight was to look for modern human DNA in the genomes of the Neanderthals, instead of the other way around. The vast majority of genetic work over the last decade has really focused on how mating with Neanderthals impacted modern human phenotypes and our evolutionary history. But these questions are relevant and interesting in the reverse case too, said Aki. This reverse analysis revealed something shocking. Neanderthals weren't just contributing DNA to modern humans. Modern humans were contributing DNA to Neanderthals. The genetic exchange went both ways, repeatedly, for hundreds of thousands of years. And then came the discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about human ancestry. When scientists sequenced the Neanderthal genome in 2010, they realized that some divergences in the human genome represented fractions that came from Neanderthals. Studies have also revealed that some living humans can trace as much as 5% of their ancestry to Denisovans. But there was a problem. So we thought we'd try to find these places of high divergence in the genome, see which are Neanderthal and which are Denisovan, and then see whether these explain the whole picture, said evolutionary biologist Jaume Bertrand-Petit from Barcelona's Pompeu Fabra University. As it happens, if you subtract the Neanderthal and Denisovan parts, there is still something in the genome that is highly divergent. There's DNA in the human genome that doesn't come from modern humans, Neanderthals, or Denisovans. It comes from something else, a ghost species that left no fossil record but left its genetic signature in our DNA. The results seem to match paleoanthropology theories developed from studying human ancestor fossils found in the ground. The new data suggests that the mysterious hominin was likely descended from an admixture of Neanderthals and Denisovans. Such a species in our evolutionary past would look a lot like the fossil of a 90,000-year-old teenage girl from Siberia's Denisova cave, whose remains were described as the only known example of a first-generation hybrid between the two species, with a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. It's exactly the kind of individual we expect to find at the origin of this population. However, this should not be just a single individual, but a whole population, says Bertrand-Petit. Think about what this means. There was an entire population of human hybrids, part Neanderthal, part Denisovan, living somewhere in Eurasia, and modern humans encountered them and interbred with them. We carry their DNA, but we've never found their bones. And the genetic evidence keeps accumulating. A 2024 Nature study analyzed the earliest modern human genomes from Ranis, Germany, approximately 45,000 years old, and showed that Ranis genomes harbor Neanderthal segments that originate from a single admixture event shared with all non-Africans dated to approximately 45,000 to 49,000 years ago. Scientists have also created an artificial intelligence program that is helping them identify ancient mutations in the human genome inherited from archaic hominin species, particularly the DNA inherited from Neanderthals and Denisovans. Scientists use the term adaptive introgression to describe this type of cross-species inheritance. Introgression refers to the process by which outside genetic material is absorbed into the human genome, while adaptive refers to the evolutionary advantage humans gain from possessing such material. Here's the terrifying part. We don't know exactly how much of our genome comes from these other species. Scientists believe that up to 40% of Neanderthal DNA may have survived inside the genomes of humans. It is widely spread out, meaning that Neanderthal DNA makes up no more than 2% of any individual's total genetic material. Those 40% and 2% figures are estimates, not precise measurements. Scientists don't know for certain exactly how much Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA human beings have inherited, or how it might be distributed ethnically or geographically. Comparison of the Denisovan genome to various modern human populations shows up to 4 to 6% contribution from Denisovans in non-African modern human populations. This concentration is highest in people from Papua New Guinea and Oceania. And the discoveries keep coming. In 2025, researchers retrieved mitochondrial DNA from the dental calculus of the Harbin cranium, reporting that it falls within the variation of 7 previously sequenced Denisovan mitochondrial DNA. This means the Harbin cranium, which had been given the name Homo longi, represents a Denisovan. There is also substantial evidence for Denisovan-Neanderthal interbreeding, including one juvenile female that appears to be a first-generation hybrid of a Neanderthal female parent and Denisovan male parent. But here's what should terrify you about all of this. About 4% of the Denisovan genome derives from an unidentified archaic hominin, indicating this species diverged from Neanderthals and humans over 1 million years ago. Read that again. The Denisovans themselves carry DNA from an even older, completely unidentified human species that split from our lineage over 1 million years ago, which means we carry DNA from that species too. Genetic material from a human ancestor so ancient we have no idea what they looked like, where they lived, or when they went extinct. The human family tree isn't a tree at all. It's a tangled mess of branches that repeatedly merge, split, and merge again. Every time we think we've mapped it, AI finds another hidden connection. One thing is absolutely certain. Scientists used AI to decode genomes from 2,000 living humans, 3 Neanderthals, and 1 Denisovan, and found multiple waves of modern human-Neanderthal admixture occurring 200 to 250,000 years ago, 100 to 120,000 years ago, and 50 to 60,000 years ago. Modern humans didn't stay in Africa for 200,000 years. They were constantly migrating out and back, encountering other human species and interbreeding. The key insight was looking for modern human DNA in Neanderthal genomes instead of the reverse. AI found divergent genome sections that aren't Neanderthal or Denisovan, evidence of a ghost species likely descended from Neanderthal-Denisovan admixture. Up to 40% of Neanderthal DNA may survive in modern human genomes. 4 to 6% of DNA in Papua New Guinea and Oceania populations comes from Denisovans, and the Denisovans themselves carry 4% DNA from an unidentified archaic hominin that diverged over 1 million years ago. Neanderthals never disappeared. They were absorbed. Their legacy lives in our DNA. And we still don't know how many other extinct human species contributed to what we are today. Stay tuned.